Well, so we have more for you from the diaspora, yes. I mean, we have millions of Nigerians out there. So we put together this for you. It's by Ijoma Onyato. Quite a very interesting one. You don't want to miss this. Take a listen.
Welcome back to our continuing coverage of Nigeria's elections here in London. Well, Africa's most populous nation, Nigeria, is choosing a new leader for the 7th time in 24 years of uninterrupted democracy. This keenly contested election has been described as crunch time by the nation's sprawling diaspora across the world. We'll hear some of the voices of Nigeria's diaspora here in London, but let's start off with the views of a keen watcher of the country's democratic process in the UK. Joining me now is a former British High Commissioner to Nigeria and business consultant, Mr. Paul Arkwright. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much, Ijoma. It's great to be back on the show.
All right. I mean, you've seen elections come and go in Nigeria, obviously, as your experience as a diplomat. What do you just make of the process playing out right now? And, you know, how critical are these polls?
I think we're at a very critical moment for Nigeria, for the future of Nigeria. Whoever wins this election will really dictate the direction of the country for the next 4 years, possibly the next 8 years. And that matters. Obviously, it matters in Nigeria, where you have a population of 200 million people plus, and a projected population of maybe 400 million in the next 30 years. So that's an enormous opportunity for Nigeria, an enormous opportunity for Nigeria's partners, international partners around the world. There are some critical challenges which the new president will need to face. And I think the international community will be looking to see what those first steps will be and how successful the new candidate will be in ensuring that Nigeria remains a democracy, a secure, a stable, and of course a prosperous country with which we can all trade and build our relationship. So this is really a very, very important election.
And then speaking about trade and relationships, as you said, I mean, the UK and Nigeria have a long-standing relationship, not just with bilateral cooperation, trade, business, etc. What sort of leader do you think should the people elect that would be able to take that sort of a relationship forward?
Well, I think a leader who has credibility on the international stage. I think somebody with ideas, new ideas, somebody who can really engage with the international community, give confidence to international investors. I represent a lot of companies who want to invest in Nigeria, but are being a little bit hesitant at the moment because of the problems that we're all aware of security of the economy. So some of those first steps that the new president will take on security, on the economy, on creating jobs for the young people, will be those that will give that kind of confidence that investors need. And in terms of international relations, we need a strong, stable, active Nigeria working with African partners, helping to develop the Africa free trade area, and ensuring that we can build a prosperity together. I'm excited about the future. Yeah. I'm a big believer in Nigeria, always have been, and I do think these elections will be critical in ensuring that we can move forward, not just in that relationship with the UK, but internationally more broadly.
Yeah, it's really a very exciting time, even when you look at the electoral process leading up to the moment we are now. We've got the whole world watching, the international community watching as well. Just from what you know of Nigeria and your observations of the process, is there any backsliding, do you think, in the electoral process? Looking at the umpire, for instance, the preparation, looking at the new electoral law.
Yeah, I think the process, I'm confident that elections will go as smoothly as they can. I think there's a lot of preparation that's gone in. I have confidence in the INEC chairman. I know him well, and I know that he's been working very hard with his team on preparing these elections. I think there are a number of new developments as a result of the Electoral Act, which will definitely improve the process. I'm very pleased to see a larger number of young people registering, getting their PVCs, being enthusiastic about the vote. And I do hope that they come out and vote in numbers. A high turnout will be important. And it will be a sign, I think, of the strength, the stability, the confidence that Nigeria has.
And, you spoke about some of the challenges that exist already. I mean, just listening to the current Commissioner, Katrina Lang, she's talked about the need for an inclusive team. Whoever wins should have a strong, inclusive team that will be able to take bold, early steps. What would be a bold, early step, do you think, around foreign policy?
I think if you look at foreign policy, observers, international observers, will be looking at a number of areas. One is security. As we know, insecurity has worsened over time, and I think some decisive steps in dealing with the insecurity in the country. On the economy, I would like to see very early steps on things like lifting of the fuel subsidy, removal of the fuel subsidy, aligning the multiple exchange rates, and having a strong FX policy, which again will give confidence to the investors. And going back to your point about, and my successor's points about inclusivity, I 100% agree with her. You need to have an inclusive process, but then at the end of that, a government which reflects society. And I did hear my successor, Katrina Lang, talking about the role of women in the elections. I think that's very important. I do think that if there's been some backsliding in Nigeria, it's been around the representation of women, which sadly has dropped over the years. So I'd like to see more of that, more youth participation, more engagement in some of the policies, because after all, Nigeria, 60% of Nigeria is under the age of 25. You have to have the right policies to give them hope, to give them confidence, to build the economy and create the jobs for the 3 million young Nigerians who are coming onto the job market every year.
And just finally, as we begin to wrap up with you, Britain and Nigeria choose their leaders pretty differently. Obviously, the process is different, but are there any aspects that you'd like to highlight of your democratic process that you feel would make the international community more confident in whoever emerges?
Well, you're right. There are different processes. There's a different system, presidential system, and obviously you have the federal nature of Nigeria, which is very different from the UK. What I would say the similarities is around participation, engagement, getting as many people as you possibly can out to vote. And then I do think that this government, the British government, and in past governments as well, have made a big effort on inclusivity. And if you look at the both the kind of balance of men and women, which is still not good enough in the UK, but it has improved. And if you look at the backgrounds of ministers, we have a number of ministers here with Nigerian backgrounds, as you know. That kind of thing is healthy for a democracy because it reflects the society who vote for the people who rule us. So I'd like to see a reflection in the outcome of the real Nigeria. And I wish all Nigerians, all Nigerian voters, all the best. They need to vote with their heart, vote with their conscience, and vote for the people, the person who they think will do the best for them and their families. And I'm very excited by the prospect. I will be watching it very, very closely from London. And as soon as I can, I'll be coming over to discuss with the incoming administration just what I can do to help bring investment, bring jobs, bring prosperity to Nigeria, because Nigeria is very much a part of me, having spent 3.5 years there as High Commissioner.
Business consultant and former British High Commissioner to Nigeria, Paul Arkwright. Thank you so much for sharing your views at this defining moment for the country. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.